New York DWI lawyer, Lebedin Kofman LLC, free consultation. New York DUI lawyers. New York DWI lawyer, DUI defense, free consultation. In many cases, an individual who has been charged with a DWI has had no previous exposure to the criminal justice system. But alcohol-related offenses are taken very seriously in the state of New York and can result in a criminal record that can follow you for the rest of your life. Don't face the system alone. Let us help. What types of DWI charges are there in New York? The state of New York takes drunk driving very seriously and punishes it harshly. A driver is considered impaired if their blood alcohol concentration exceeds 0.05% and legally intoxicated at 0.08%. The severity of the charges and penalties will vary depending on blood alcohol concentration, whether drugs were involved, and whether the defendant is a repeat offender. Even a first offense can result in serious charges and penalties. There are distinct differences in our drunk driving charges, and they are dependent on specific factors surrounding the circumstances. DWI, or driving while intoxicated. In New York, a person who is caught operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08% or more can be charged with the misdemeanor of DWI. If that individual has received another DWI within the past 10 years, they may be facing a felony charge. Aggravated DWI. An individual who is caught operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.18% or higher may be charged with aggravated DWI. DWAI, or driving while ability impaired. An individual who is caught operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol concentration of between 0.05% and 0.08% may be charged with a DWAI. While this is not a criminal charge, penalties can include both fines and jail time. DWAI drugs. An individual who is caught operating a motor vehicle under the influence of drugs may be charged with a DWAI drugs. DWAI combination. An individual who is caught operating a motor vehicle under the influence of both alcohol and drugs may be charged with a DWAI combination. DWI attorney Russ Kaufman explains Leandra's Law. The Child Protection Act, otherwise known as Leandra's Law, imposes severe penalties for those defendants who drive while intoxicated with a child under the age of 16 in the vehicle. What happens when you are pulled over for a DWI? If a police officer has observed driving behavior that seems to indicate possible intoxication, such as speeding, swerving, running traffic lights, or otherwise driving erratically, the officer may pull the driver over to further observe the driver's behavior or appearance. General information. What is a DWI in the state of New York? What are misconceptions about arrest and prosecution for DWI? What are mistakes people make after being arrested? What happens after the arrest? What are the ramifications of just pleading guilty? Is the driver's license taken immediately and are there hardship licenses? How can refusing the breath or blood test affect license suspension? Do laws in New York address BAC levels below 0.08? What factors might enhance or aggravate a DWI charge? Are DWI cases involving illegal or prescription drugs common? Are there alternative programs for first-time offenders? Vehicular crimes. Aggravated driving while intoxicated per se. Aggravated driving while intoxicated with a child. Driving while ability impaired by alcohol. Driving while intoxicated per se. Installation and operation of ignition interlock devices. Leaving the scene of an incident without reporting. Reckless driving. Unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle. DWI video FAQs. What is a DWI? Why should people never admit to the police about drinking alcohol? What happens in refusing the breath test? What are the strict penalties for DUI? How can hiring an attorney affect the outcome of a DUI case? Can you refuse a breathalyzer in NYC? Anyone with a driver's license in New York has automatically given consent to chemical testing through their issuance of a license. This is called implied consent. While a driver does have the right to refuse a test, that driver's license will be immediately suspended and revoked. The refusal of a breathalyzer test can still result in a driver being arrested and charges pursued. The prosecution has other ways of pursuing intoxication charges, including the police officer's observations, the results and videos of field sobriety and coordination tests, the driver's erratic driving behavior, the appearance and behavior of the driver at the stop, including slurred speech and bloodshot eyes, the odor of alcohol or marijuana in the car, circumstances surrounding any accident that may have resulted. What elements must be proven in a DWI case? While each case will have its own set of factors, in order to convict someone of a DWI offense, the prosecution must prove two important elements to establish a case. That the defendant was operating the vehicle, and that the defendant was under the influence of alcohol and/or drugs. Proof of operating the vehicle. In New York, operating a motor vehicle is not limited to driving it. Under our laws, an individual is operating a motor vehicle when they are behind the wheel of a vehicle with the intention of putting it into motion. Consequently, the defendant can be charged with a DWI while merely sitting still in a vehicle. Proof of drugs or alcohol. The next thing the prosecution must prove is the use of alcohol or drugs by the defendant. This proof will depend upon the charge. In the case of a per se DWI charge, the actual amount of alcohol or drugs in the defendant's system must be proven, generally using chemical testing. Penalties for DWI convictions in NY. Penalties for a DWI in New York will depend on the charges, the blood alcohol concentration of the defendant, whether it is a first or subsequent offense, whether it caused an accident and injuries, and other various factors. Common defenses in a DWI case. If you are convicted of a DWI, these penalties can have a serious impact on your life, and your livelihood, and leave you with a possible criminal record that can follow you for life. Fortunately, with skilled legal representation, there are common defenses that can be pursued, depending on the circumstances. These can include challenging whether the officer had probable cause to stop you and request a breathalyzer, Challenging the breathalyzer machine or the administration of it. Challenging whether a urine or blood test was administered, handled, or stored properly. How to get a DWI dismissed in NY. There are three main categories of arguments that can be used to get DWI charges dropped. The law does not permit the prosecution to proceed with the charges. The evidence against the driver is not enough. The state committed a procedural error.